was topping off at 03:18 a.m., overlay steady at MM64, when two bikers in cut vests rolled past, hawked spit across my hood, and laughed at the veteran sticker on my door. "Fake hero, old man." I didn't move. I let the cab mic catch plates, the skull and rose decals, and the line "Cash, or we peel that flag." Then a hearse turned in from the frontage road, and one by one, the parking lot started filling with uniforms. Drivers, tell us in the comments below where you're watching from. I kept the nozzle locked and my hands still. My dashcam was already rolling. 03:18:07, Fuel Island 2. The Pine and County 7 lot. Wind from the north and just enough sleet to make the concrete honest. I said the cross street out loud for the record. Habit older than my brace. The spit ran down the hood in 2 slow ropes. I didn't wipe it. I wanted the camera to have everything. The taller rider, tattoo sleeve to the wrist, skull and rose patch riding high on the vest, eased his front wheel tight to my bumper and tapped the emblem with 2 fingers. "Sticker tax," he said. "20 cash, or we peel that flag and see what's left of your pride." His buddy snorted and circled behind my trailer like a vulture, thinking about learning a new trick. The cab mic caught the clink of a chain on his belt and the exact lilt of the laugh. Details matter when people start revising themselves. MM64, I said softly to the dash. 2 riders, skull and rose decals, silver Dyna with a dented tank, black shadow with a taped mirror, plate 4ZP913, second one K37 something, both idling by my hood. My voice sounded calm to the recorder. Inside my chest, 30 winters of habit lined up like soldiers and waited for orders. The attendant watched from inside, behind a rack of windshield washer fluid, phone in hand, not sure if he should be brave or if the glass wanted him to stay behind it. I lifted a finger, small circle in the air, and mouthed, "Call." He nodded and disappeared. 20, the tall one repeated, cocking his head so he could see his own reflection in my headlight. "Parking lot tax. Veterans get the discount rate." He laughed at his own joke and spat again, this time at my license plate frame, where a 3rd cav coin insert catches morning light on better days. He reached for the edge of the veteran sticker with gloved fingers. The mic caught rubber squeaking on vinyl. I kept both hands high on the steering wheel, where any camera and any responding officer would see compliance instead of escalation. A hearse eased in from the east with that slow, heavy grace they teach at funeral homes, so grieving people don't have to do extra work. Its hazards flickered like heartbeat. A second car followed, a sedan with a funeral home placard in the windshield, and then a third with a magnetized honor guard strip crooked near the door handle. I said the time to my dash, 03:21:33. The short biker noticed the new arrivals and smirked. "Perfect," he said. "Tips'll be generous. We run escorts. We hold doors. We collect appreciation." He said collect like a man who hears it rhyme with extort and enjoys the math. The hearse made a slow circle to the far row near the coffee shop. 2 men in dark suits got out and opened the rear door with ceremony you can't fake. The taller biker, still at my bumper, didn't bother to look. He had a sticker to peel. "You gonna cry about this?" he asked, working his glove under the edge. "Gonna post it for sympathy?" He tapped the cab pillar with a knuckle. "Fake heroes got a camera." "I've got a camera," I said, and let the truth sit there without heat. The lot changed by degrees, then all at once. A patrol unit rolled in and parked wide. No lights, just presence. Then another. City markings, traffic bar up top, and a third from county. Doors opened and uniforms stepped out with that quiet, decisive way professionals do when a job already has instructions. A fire engine ghosted by on County 7 without stopping, the driver raising 2 fingers from the wheel for the hearse the way working people salute grief. A pair of bikes with small American flags on antenna whips turned in, chrome dulled by cold, riders in American Legion jackets zipped to the chin. The tall biker finally looked up. He didn't move his hand from my sticker. He did let his mouth close long enough for the night to hear the absence. "Dispatch," I said to my phone on speaker, thumb hovering above the call button I should have pressed 10 seconds earlier. This is Rig 28 at Pine and County 7. Two riders spit on my vehicle, threatened stick attacks, attempted to remove a veteran decal. I'm stationary in the cab. I'll stay seated. Plate 4ZP913 and partial K37. Hearse and Honor Guard arriving. Units already in lot. I touched the screen. The line clicked alive. I repeated it for the record and heard the operator's steady yes in return. "Do not engage," she said. "Officers are feet away. Keep your hands visible." I smiled. That sentence and I are old friends. The riders split without leaving. The short one drifted toward the hearse, like a moth measuring a candle. The tall one leaned into my hood and whispered with a grin, "You want this to be your morning?" He curled his fingers and tugged. The veteran sticker didn't yield. "I've had it on too long and it's seen things with me." He tried again, hissed at the adhesive, and made a small, angry noise that sounded like pride noticing it had an audience. He pulled harder. My cab cam caught his jaw clench, and the moment his gloved knuckle slipped and smacked metal, he swore, not for the pain but because the lot was different now, and he felt it too. I heard boots on sand and looked in the side mirror. 3 men in dress blues stepped out of the sedan by the hearse. 2 Marines, 1 Navy, belts squared, covers perfect even in wind. Another car arrived, this one with Army windscreen cards, and a pair of soldiers in ASUs got out carefully, like they were respectful of the moment they didn't control. A white SUV pulled in behind them, and out flowed a dozen riders in Patriot Guard scarves, their flag tubes reflecting gas station light like drumsticks. The short biker's smirk went uncertain at the edges. He gestured to his buddy to leave my hood alone and come meet some new customers. The tall one hesitated, fingers still on the sticker, and then pulled back slow, wiping the glove on his jeans like he hadn't just lost to adhesive. "Morning, gentlemen," he said to the Marines, as if some pivot to courtesy could rewrite the paragraph we'd all just lived. "We run an escort service. Premium protection, respectful, affordable." He used the word service like a distributor uses warranty. The older Marine, the one with a silver bar where some of us keep our jokes, glanced down at the skull and rose rocker, then up at the biker's face, and then back at the hearse. His eyes didn't blink the way eyes don't when gravity has already written the order of the day. "This family already has an escort," the Marine said, "and a permit." He tipped his chin toward the parking lot entrance, where a city traffic unit idled with a clipboard and a laminated route map in a sleeve. "You can park or you can leave. You will not solicit. You will not touch vehicles." He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. It's amazing how loud clarity can be. The tall biker's mouth formed into a smile that showed no humor. "We're volunteers," he lied. "Just here to help." He spread his hands. Across the lot, the hearse's door opened farther, and the honor guard's flag cases clicked like oaths. "Volunteers don't spit on trucks," the Marine said, looking past him at my hood with its twin tracks drying into shame. The county deputy who'd rolled in second stepped close enough for the biker to feel a tension on his shoulder. "Even if you disagree with stickers," the deputy added, conversational, "you don't put hands on them." The short one tried a new angle. He slid between 2 Legion riders like smoke and blocked the path to the coffee shop. "Parking for the procession is 20, he told a man in a VFW cap. "Cash only. Lot fee." The VFW cap looked down at the painted customer parking letters at his boots, then up at the kid who hadn't learned how to read rooms. He didn't answer. He pointed. 2 officers were already moving. Inside my cab, the screen split. The main view ahead, a smaller pane showing my right mirror. The attendant had stepped out from behind glass with his own phone up, filming the short one's pitch and the older Marine's reply. My audio caught the line the kid shouldn't have said. "No cash, no respect. We can still stop the line at the exit." The words landed on the mic with the tone of a man who believes the world stayed as small as the 5 people who say yes to him. I toggled my intercom mic higher and read my lane like scripture. 032419, hearse on site, honor guard present. Officers present. Rider offers lot fee and threatens delay. My hands are at 10 and 2. I am staying seated. The operator said she had me, and in the background I heard a supervisor's voice say, "They're already on it," in a tone halfway between weary and satisfied. A man in a black suit with a name badge clipped to his lapel stepped out from the funeral sedan and put himself between the short biker and the Legion riders like he'd been doing it for 30 years. "Families first," he said. "Please make room." The kid rolled his shoulders and debated learning manners in public. He didn't. "You got a permit for this lot?" he asked, like the world was a mirror that would speak well of him if he spoke loud enough. The suit didn't argue. He lifted a folder that had too many paper clips and zero patience and showed the top sheet, parade permit, procession route, to the county deputy who had arrived beside them. The deputy took one look and then turned to the kid. "He has one," he said. "You don't." The tall biker tried to get in front of the newer, stronger narrative. He raised his arms and addressed the parking lot like a preacher shopping for tithes. "We just want to honor the fallen," he said. "We ride, we block, we keep people safe, we accept donations." He made accept sound like charge. The MOT in me, managing the movement of things in lanes, counted exits, counted cars, counted pride. "Sir," the city officer with the clipboard said, calm and bored enough to be lethal, "you're about to be told the same thing 3 times. Park or leave. If you solicit, if you obstruct, if you touch any vehicle, you'll be cited. If you threaten to delay the procession, you'll find the inside of a cruiser more educational than the outside." The short one swallowed like a pill had landed sideways. He spotted my windshield again and decided the best defense was to pretend the offense never happened. He walked back toward me, tweaked his vest, and said almost softly, "You think those uniforms are going to back your mouth?" He put his hand flat on my fender and leaned in close enough for the mic to catch peppermint and gasoline. 20, he whispered, like the number could still save face. "Last chance." I lowered my window 3 inches. "I was at Kalat when a generator exploded," I said, voice even. "I taped guys together with my shirt while we scraped shrapnel out of a wall with spoons. You spit on a sticker." I turned my head toward the hearse. "That family didn't come here to meet your pride." He stiffened, not at the place name. Men like this don't keep maps in their heads. But at the tone, because tone recognizes tone, even when it refuses to respect it. He drew his hand back from my fender like it had burned him. He looked past me to the honor guard unzipping flag cases. He glanced at the Patriot Guard, laying out poles without a word. He finally looked at the deputy's pen already clicking above a citation pad. The tall one tried to fix it with noise. He fired his bike, revved twice to draw eyes, and jerked his chin at his buddy. "We're leaving," he said to the deputy. "Happy?" The deputy didn't answer. He kept writing. The short one hesitated. Ruined mornings hate to exit quietly, then swung a leg over his seat and thumbed his starter. The engine coughed. He glanced at the fuel island, the same one he'd spat on, and at the line of uniforms and flags that had grown into a small, patient wall. And just then, as both bikes idled like dogs torn between fight and heel, a traffic sergeant stepped out of the cluster near the hearse, recognized their skull and rose decals, and said a name out loud that turned 3 heads at once. "Oak and 3rd, last month, same patches, same talk." He wheeled toward my hood, then toward the officers, and then toward a city camera mounted under the canopy. He wasn't the only one who recognized something. A rider in a Legion jacket with a CIB pin on his lapel looked at the tall biker's sleeve, looked closer, and went pale and angry in the way men do when they see a symbol that doesn't belong. He took a slow breath and walked toward the officers like he had a certificate in doing the right thing in the wrong weather. I felt the moment before it arrived. The parking lot had stopped being a parking lot. It was a ledger now. Lines were about to be written. What I didn't know yet was whose hand would write first. The officers with pens, the director with permits, or the kid with a chain around his neck who hadn't realized he was standing in front of a wall built by grief and discipline both. The deputy tapped his citation pad and said, "Sir, kill the engine." The short one stared at the page like it could blink. The tall one laughed too brightly and started to roll. That's when the bugler case opened by the hearse. Uniforms formed two lines. Flags rose. 6 men in dress blues reached in and took hold, and the bikers, for the first time that morning, went very, very still. The bugler lifted his case lid, and the lot forgot how to breathe. 2 lines formed, flag bearers at the edges, pallbearers at the hearse. The traffic sergeant raised a palm, and the murmurs went to ground. I could hear my cab mic picking up sleeve buttons and fabric, the small sounds of people doing a big thing the right way. The short rider killed his engine. The tall one didn't. He revved once more like noise could keep the day on his side. Every uniform turned their heads the same inch. That's all it took. The deputy stepped forward, covered the kill switch with a practiced hand and said, "Off!" The tall rider stared, then obeyed. "Stay where you are," the city officer said. "You're not part of this procession." He pointed to a cone line already set to carve a path to County 7. "We are." Families began to arrive. 2 SUVs, nose to tail, an old Camry with a purple ribbon threaded through the grille, a cluster of sedans with dashboard placards. A woman stepped out of the Camry and held a small boy's hand tight enough to keep the wind from making promises it couldn't keep. A Legion rider leaned his flag against his shoulder and tipped his cover to her. The boy stared at the flags and then at the bikes and then at my truck like each might have a job in the morning's choreography. The funeral director nodded to the Marines. "We're ready?" The tall rider lifted his chin. "We can block the frontage." He tried again. "Safer with us up front." The traffic sergeant didn't even look his way. He pointed at the traffic unit with the clipboard. "They'll block. You'll watch." The older Marine moved to the Camry and offered an arm. The woman shook her head, not in refusal but in gratitude, like she didn't want to add weight to a day that already carried enough. The camcorder in my dash caught the way her eyes flicked to my hood, saw the spit, and registered it as just another mess strangers would clean. The short rider took a half step toward her and a full step back, when a Patriot Guard rider put a flag between them with the gentlest possible angle. "Routes that way," the guard said low. "You'll have a nice view from anywhere that isn't here." The deputy wrote without looking up. "Names," he said to the pair. "Clubs, insurance, registration." The tall one spelled his wrong the first time, then corrected it. The short one offered the name of a group that didn't show on the deputy's list. The deputy wrote what he said, then wrote what the sleeve patch actually read. "Did you spit on that truck?" the deputy asked, chin toward my hood. "I slipped," the short one said. My audio put his earlier line next to that sentence like a ledger doing addition. "Cash, or we peel that flag. No cash, no respect. We can still stop the line at the exit." The deputy didn't argue. He wrote the numbers on my plate and the timestamp and drew a line to the citations he'd already started. Littering, harassment, unlawful solicitation, interfering with funeral operations. He added no proof of insurance when the paper in the short biker's wallet turned out to be out of season by a year. The traffic sergeant consulted his clipboard. "A month ago," he said to the city officer, "Oaken 3rd, similar duo tried the same at a church lot. We took statements. No video that time." He pointed at my cab. "Today we have all we need." The hearse door opened. The casket moved. All talk stopped. Even the pumps seemed to hush. The Marine's gloves found handles. The Navy man adjusted a ribbon end. The Patriot Guard formed a lane of flags that made the parking lot look narrower and stronger. The boy by the Camry squeezed his mother's hand and looked up with an expression that has lived in every generation. The short rider looked smaller, with all that gravity so close. He gripped his bars without swinging a leg and stared at the asphalt as if it might tell him how to backspace. "Here we go," the funeral director said. The honor guard stepped off. The traffic unit rolled to the lot exit, and the city car took point. The tall rider whispered a last try at control, not to a person but to the morning. "We were just trying to help." The older Marine didn't look at him. "So help," he said. "Step aside." They did. Not out of grace, but because a line of uniforms makes its own physics. The procession eased past, flags dipped, hands found hearts. The little boy saluted with his wrong hand and nobody corrected him because the angle doesn't matter when the intention is perfect. My hood still wore 2 streaks, but the light on the chrome made the spit look like dew. I left it there until after the last car rolled out. The short rider tried one more hustle on the back edge, sidled into the path of the last sedan. Palm out, the old lot fee routine. The Legion rider with the CIB pin stepped between them and didn't speak. He just unzipped his jacket enough to show the rectangle of blue and the tiny wreath and star. The short rider swallowed, stepped back, and the deputy's pen made a small sound like a door bolt going home. When the procession cleared to the frontage road, the traffic sergeant turned to the pair and dropped the diplomacy. "Here's what's happening," he said. "Citations for both. Tow for you." He pointed at the short rider's shadow. "Unless your insurance app magically updates in the next 90 seconds. Trespass notice for the property for a year. And if you set tire within 100 feet of a funeral again to shake money from grief, you'll enjoy a judge's version of a lot fee." The tall rider opened his mouth and closed it again when the Patriot Guard clacked a flagpole into its tube without looking his way. The attendant came out with a towel and a bottle and stopped by my bumper. "You want me to?" he asked. "Leave it," I said. "Evidence." He nodded like he felt the word in his own bones. The Camry's driver, the mother, walked back across the lot with the boy and the funeral director. She pointed at my hood, then at the veteran sticker, then at me. "I'm sorry," she said, and I felt my head move before I felt my voice. "Not your weight to carry," I told her. "I'll wash it." The director held out a hand. "You parked like a professional this morning," he said. "You gave them a wall they couldn't pretend not to see." He pressed a card into my hand. His name, the funeral home, a note on the back in quick print. "Permit on file. Complete. Thanks." I slid it under the radio where I keep small faiths. A tow truck hooked the shadow while the short rider watched the chain tighten. He signed a form with the speed of a man learning to read consequences. The tall rider took his citations and muttered about donations. The deputy pointed at the city camera under the canopy and at my cab. "Your donations will be appearing in court," he said. "They'll be labeled exhibit." When the lot finally exhaled, the Legion riders and Patriot Guard riders formed a loose circle. A quiet one in a denim vest stepped over to my fender with a spray bottle and a handful of paper towels. "We clean our messes," he said, and worked the streaks off like the hood was his own. The chrome brightened. My cab mic caught the soft squeak and the nearly inaudible, "There," he said to the metal. I fueled the last few gallons, capped off, killed the pump. The attendant set a coffee on my step and said it was on the house. "Not because you're a vet," he said. "Because you didn't turn it into a show." Fair enough. The deputy walked up to my window with a clipboard, and the politeness of a man who knows his job ended cleanly because someone else used a camera and restraint. "Name and email for statements," he asked. I gave him both. He slid a receipt for the tow across. "We'll get your link for the footage. Thanks for calling the street and the mile marker," he said. "Makes my report read like it was there." He started to leave, then turned back, hesitated. "You headed past county vehicle inspection today?" he asked. "Why?" I said. "The Camry you saw. Check engine lights on," he said. "She asked if she could risk the drive to the cemetery without getting pulled for an expired sticker. I told her we'd handle it, but we'll be tied up. If you have 5 minutes..." He let the sentence dangle. "I do walls and I do errands. Tell me which bay," I said. He radioed, got a bay assignment, and we fell in behind the last of the honors line. The Camry smelled like crayons and a life holding itself together. The boy waved from the back seat. I tucked in and made the little bubble you can make with 12 tons when you don't want the world to bump someone who's already been bumped. At the inspection station, The tech stepped out with a look that said he'd been briefed by kindness. He scanned, swapped a gas cap, replaced a brake light bulb with a practice twist, and cleared the code. "Sticker on the house," he said to the woman, who cried the quiet way that doesn't need to apologize for itself. I tapped my card on the counter anyway. "For the next one," I said. The tech nodded and wrote credit in Sharpie on a piece of blue tape stuck to the monitor. I made it back to the pilot before the line of coffee broke. The Legion riders were gone. The Patriot Guard had rolled to the cemetery. The Marines had disappeared into the convoy like they'd never been separate from it. The lot went back to being a lot. My Dashcam file finished uploading while I wiped the hood in slow, neat swipes. The chrome reflected my hands and the veteran sticker and a sky trying to decide if it wanted to be grey or blue. The attendant pointed at the city camera and then at me. "They asked for your footage," he said. "I told them it was already on its way." He grinned. "You truckers move fast when it matters." I took the long way back to the highway, past the frontage road where the procession had become taillights. The boy in the back of the Camry saw me, pressed his palm to the glass, and I did the same to mine. Doesn't change the world. Sometimes it steadies it. 2 days later, a small update floated across my inbox from the deputy. Citations issued 1 tow. Prior complaints matched by decals and plates. City attorney reviewing unlawful solicitation near funeral statute. Property trespass notices served. There was an attachment, my still of the tall rider's glove on the sticker at 03/22/49, and another of the short rider telling the VFW cap lot fee, with the honor guard flags in the background. No captions, just timestamps. The best kind. The funeral director sent a one-line note. Family saw the flag line, not the spit. Thank you. The Legion rider with the CIB pin dropped a folded napkin at the pilot a week later with 4 words scrawled in pencil. Good wall. Good witness. I slid it under the radio with the permit card and the tow receipt and the list of mile markers I say out loud when the cab gets quiet. On my next pass through MM64, the lot looked like any lot. That's the outcome professionals aim for. Ordinary restored, noise replaced by process. My hood shone, the sticker held. The little red light blinked and blinked like it always does, indifferent to pride and faithful to proof. Drivers, tell us in the comments below where you're watching from, city, state, or the mile marker that raised you. And if you want more runs where receipts beat rumors and ordinary folks hold the line inch by inch, subscribe so the next one finds you. Next time, I'll tell you about a tow yard storage fee that wasn't, until a cab cam and a clipboard taught a manager the difference between policy and a shakedown.